Okay, so this lesson is a little different. It is our first real writing lesson on writing an essay. So you're going to be writing a multi-paragraph essay. And this is your writing prompt. So it's on creating mood and comparing the text that we read to the video. And you've read The Labors of Hercules and watched the video, The Wrong Path, from the television series Hercules, A Legendary Journeys. And each writer and director purposely created mood throughout the stories to help the audience understand. So the writing prompt: how was mood created in each source, and how did it help the audience understand the story? You're going to use details from each source to support your answer. The due date is Friday, February 12th. And so here are some interim due dates. So if you are meeting these, you're on target and should finish without any problem. If you fall behind, you might have to do a little extra work, or definitely come see me for some extra help. So we will be writing the first body paragraph in class starting on Monday, and you should be able to finish that as you finish up as homework Monday night. Your second body paragraph will be completed on Tuesday in class. You can start it and finish it up for homework on Tuesday night. On Wednesday, you would want to add your header, heading, and then write your introduction. And then when you come to class on Thursday, you could finish up with anything or ask any questions you might have and write your conclusion on Thursday. And then start revising and editing on Thursday, finishing up Friday in class. It is due at the end of class on Friday. So this would be the goal for your time and scheduling. So you're not going to start writing until Monday. Your only homework at the moment is to watch this video and answer any questions that I ask. Okay. Yes, your essay is to be set up Mla format. So just as a reminder, the header has your last name and the page number. The heading, which is at the top of the first page only, has your name, my name, the class, and the period. And then the due date with the day, month, year format. It should be Times New Roman, 12-point black font, and double spaced, no extra line between the paragraphs. Okay, we're going to look at writing the paragraph on the written text story first, The Labors of Hercules. So you completed this chart as homework on Thursday, and we're going to take this chart and turn it into a paragraph. Okay, so you can see the technique was description of character and imagery. I used my example from our lesson on Thursday about Caucus, and this was the quotes that I provided. The feeling that is created is fear and worry because he's a dangerous, violent character based on the quote. And then how that affected my opinion or understanding is clearly I knew he was going to be an enemy, and it foreshadowed violence between him and Hercules. So now I'm going to make that into a paragraph along with my other two examples that would be in the chart. I'm just using one, but if you had, you should have three. You put all three into one paragraph. Okay, so part of the document you'll have access to is this organization checklist, and I really encourage you to use it. It will help you. I have tons of examples in here of what to do and how to do it. So the first thing we're going to do with our paragraph is make sure we have a topic sentence, okay? And so that involves restating our writing task. We don't just start with a quote or start with an example. So I give you three different examples to use. You are welcome to use these as the basis for yours. You might want to change a few of the words in them, not copy them word for word. So what you need to include is you need to include the title of the text, the author's name, and what you're actually going to write about. So that would be in the myth, The Labors of Hercules, the author, Rex Warner, used several techniques to create mood, which contributed to the reader's understanding of the story. So this was a two-part question, so I made sure I had both parts in my topic sentence. You can do these in any order. Rex Warner used several techniques to create mood in his version of the myth, The Labors of Hercules. And then to create mood and help the readers understand the story, Rex Warner used a variety of techniques in The Labor of Hercules. So following any of these formats for your topic sentence is what you need to do. Then you're going to add your transition word like we always do in a paragraph. Some examples first in the beginning, for example, an example is, for instance. And then you're going to put the first technique and add context. Now, context is not something that I actually had you put in the chart, so you're going to need to add that. So if we go back and we actually look at my chart, the technique was description of character and imagery. So I'm going to put that in my answer, description of character and imagery, and add my context. First, when Warner introduced the reader to Caucus during the completion of the 10th labor. So I'm including the name of the character that I'm talking about, the 10th labor, when it happened in the story. He used description of character and vivid imagery to convey to the reader an obviously violent character. Okay. Then I'm going to provide my quote. Okay. So that is actually the next thing in my chart is the quote. Right. And so I'm going to take my quote and I'm going to put it next. I'm going to introduce it with an anchor, such as the author wrote or the author stated that, and then my quote. Write my quote, and then we cite my quote. In your case, your quote should all be from page 1. But mine is from page 7. So I have Warner 7 here after my quote. The author wrote, comma, quotation mark, Caucus, a son of Vulcan who breathes fire out of his mouth. I used my ellipses, ... killed all strangers and nailed their heads dripping with blood to the posts at the entrance of his rocky dwelling. Quotation mark, no punctuation. Then the citation, last name, page number in parentheses with a period at the end. Okay. And then the next thing is the next column. Explain the feeling that the technique created. So in my column, the next thing is it created fear and worry because he was a dangerous and violent character. So that's what I write. The reader immediately understood from these details that Caucus was dangerous and felt worried for Hercules. Now I'm going to explain how this affected my understanding. That's the last column. And notice I have column 4, column 3. I'm telling you in this organization which columns you should be using. So in column 4, I understood he was an enemy, and I understood that it was going to probably be violent between him and Hercules. And so I write that as my next sentence. The imagery of the heads and the blood conveyed the clear message. Caucus was an enemy and foretold of the coming violence with Hercules. I'm then going to add an appropriate transition word, such as next, also, in addition, additionally, moreover, furthermore. And then I'm going to repeat this for my second and third examples. I'm going to go through all of that again for my second example, all the way across to my chart. And then again for my third, all the way across from my chart. And that is your complete paragraph. Okay. And this is what it would look like, Times New Roman, double space. Notice I have indented my paragraph. I take all the sentences that I just had in my checklist there, and this is what you will be doing. This is what it should look like, right? So you have your topic sentence, then you have your transition word, my first example, which starts with the context and the technique. Then my quote is next with the citation, and then I say how I felt, how it made the reader feel, right? Dangerous and felt worried. And then that clear message that he was an enemy. Then I have my transition word, and I would do the same thing for my second example. And then my transition word, I said moreover, and then my third example. And that is your paragraph. The second paragraph is on the video, right? So we're going to follow the same sort of process. So we're going to write our topic sentence first. This time, though, we're going to include the title of the episode, the name of the series, the fact that there's a director, and then that the technique created mood and contributed to understanding. That part stays the same. So you can see my 3 examples in the video, The Wrong Path from the series Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. The director used several film techniques to create mood, which contributed to the viewer's understanding of the story. Another way of doing it, I just changed the order. The director used several techniques to create mood in the video The Wrong Path from the series Hercules, The Legendary Journey. Or to create mood and help the readers understand the story, the director of The Wrong Path from the series Hercules, The Legendary Journeys used a variety of techniques. Again, any of these work. I would choose a different format than the first paragraph. So you want to not do it exactly the same way in each paragraph. If you used red and you followed the red format in your first paragraph, you might want to do blue in your second paragraph or green. Okay, that's why I color coded them for you. You're going to add your transition word again. And again, I would try a different one. So if you used, for example, in your first one, you might say, for instance, in your second one. Okay, so try and not do it exactly the same. And then you're going to provide the technique again and the scene. So instead of the other kind of context, you're going to create the scene, tell the scene, which is above the chart. So if we look at that chart, okay, so we have the technique and then we have the scene up here. I'm using a scene that we probably didn't get to, depending on your class. So it would be the next day after his family was murdered, and my technique was a close-up camera angle. And so I'm going to put that. For example, the director used a close-up camera angle. There's my technique in the scene between Aeolus and Hercules the morning after his family's murder. Okay, so identify the scene and the technique. The next step is to describe in my own words. This is column 2, what was happening. So in column 2, Hercules and Aeolus were discussing the murder of Hercules' wife and children by Hera. And so I'm going to put that in my next sentence. Well, I did it word for word, actually. And then explain why it created the feeling, right? Column 3. And so the close-up camera angle made the viewer feel as if he or she were listening in on this serious conversation. The audience felt sympathy for Hercules and understood his anger towards Hera. And that's what I had in my chart. It was as if I was listening in on the conversation. I was eavesdropping. I had sympathy for Hercules and I understood his anger. And so I took those bullets and I turned them into my complete sentence. Okay. Then I'm going to explain, that was number 5. Number 6, explain how this helps understanding. So if I look at my chart, I said I understood he was a tragic hero, right? Because he goes through this tragedy. And there's probably going to be a confrontation between him and Hera. And that adds suspense and excitement. And so I write that up in a complete sentence. You recognized Hercules was a tragic hero. Anticipated there would be a confrontation, which added suspense and excitement to the story. That's the end of my first example, right? I've gone all the way across my chart. So I would do that again for my next example, and I would pick 3. So you might have more than 3 for the video. Just pick the 3 you like the best. I would pick things that are different. So notice I say that your second and third example should be from different scenes or a different part of the scene and focus on a different technique. Okay? And so again, sample paragraph, right? In the video, the wrong path in the series, and I have my topic sentence, right? And then I go, for example, and I give the technique and the scene. I then provide in my own words, because we're not quoting from the video, what was happening in that scene. Then I explain how it made the viewer, me, feel, and what it created in me. It felt sympathy and anger. And then I recognized that he was a hero and that there would be a confrontation, adding suspense and excitement, right? So I put all those things in a paragraph, and then I add my transition word, and I'm going to do the same thing for my second example, and another transition word, and my third example. And notice all my transition words are different from the previous paragraph. I didn't repeat any transition words, okay? So this would be Monday, and then Tuesday. I honestly don't care which order you do these 2 paragraphs in. So if you prefer to put the video paragraph first and then the story, the text paragraph, I really don't care. But you're going to do 1 on Monday and 1 on Tuesday. And if you have questions, please bring them to class so that I can answer them for you. And I will be after school on Monday for extra help if you need some extra help with this. So at the bottom of the checklist, there are some reminders. So the title of the myth goes in quotation marks. It's not underlined, it's not italicized, right? And I have it here, The Labors of Hercules, because it's a short story. When it comes to the video, the episode title is considered the equivalent of a short story, and so that goes in quotation marks, The Wrong Path. The title of the series is considered more like a book, and so that is italicized, not underlined, Hercules, The Legendary Journeys.